What up, you guys? I hope that you're having a great week so far. We are here for our midweek alchemy message where we are unpacking this week's lessons and talking about our approach to the work. So, if you are new to the channel, early in the week on Monday night, I record our anchor message, which gives us the week's lessons and themes that are going to be presenting. And then Tuesday is our manifestation oracle message. Wednesday is our alchemy message where we talk about the process. Thursday is our love message, and Fridays are our reflection message where we sort of like tie up the lessons for the week. Saturday are secret teachings of Jesus where we study the Gnostic Gospels. And Sunday is our weekly energy oracle forecast. I film these after work, usually in the evening or sometime in the evening, so you may not see them until the next morning, but either way, like they're usually good for like 7 or 8 days. So we have like an ongoing progressive story. So, and the good thing about these readings is that there's always evergreen wisdom sprinkled in. I'm always referencing like deep wisdom of Kabbalah and Bible references and all of that too. So there's always something good to learn. I hope in every video. That's my aim. So I hope you guys liked the little interlude Monday that I did with the voiceover, and you could see the reading laid out. And I don't always do that, but the channeling that was coming through in the writing was particularly powerful, and I thought it was pretty poignant. And I'm doing the same thing with this reading because today's writing, when I was writing it, it was so powerful coming through that I was just like streaming snot. I mean, I had to change my shirt because I was just like blowing my nose on my sleeves. I had to like finish, and I didn't want to get up and interrupt my thought. But so I really love that today's reading sort of addresses the feeling that we're in right now. So we are in Lent, and Lent is the fast that marks the 40 days that Jesus spent in the wilderness fasting and praying, preparing to lead up to the Passover that he would presumably be arrested and then crucified. So it was a Passover Seder that was the Last Supper, if you guys don't know that. So in the desert, Jesus was tempted by the devil 3 times to throw him off his course, to try to convince him that like, hey, instead of like dying on the cross, you should, take over. Everybody's got your back, quit now, all this stuff. The devil wanted to take Jesus and tempt him away from the real mission that he was on. Jesus always knew that he'd been sent to die, to be a sacrifice, to be the sacrificial lamb. That is why the woman washed his feet. She understood as the Lamb of God that he would be the sacrificial lamb of that Passover. And so what they did was they picked a perfect lamb that was a specific number of days old. I can't remember. And I think it's like I can't remember. Maybe exactly 1-year-old lamb. Maybe it was younger. But what they would do is that it had to be a spotless, perfect little lamb, and they would, I guess it wouldn't, I don't know if it was a year old or not. I don't know. If you guys are wanting to like obsess over the exact age of the lamb, you can look that up. But basically they would clean the lamb, bring it inside, keep it clean, and they anointed the lamb's feet and hooves beforehand with holy anointing oil or chrism. And so the woman washing Jesus's feet, it was like a foreshadowing or a prophetic kind of action that hinted to the fact that he was about to be crucified. And it's so funny because some people understood this, but then other people, even like Jesus's disciples, were like not getting actually what was happening and where his mission was taking him. They kept thinking like, okay, so when are we going to start like rising up against Rome? Like, when are we going to collect our army? Like, when are we going to, basically like rise up in a revolt, and that was never Jesus's plan. And so even Jesus himself would get frustrated and feel like no one was catching on, no one was understanding, like he was almost failing in his own mission. And this was God incarnate as a human being, right? So we this week are kind of butting up against our own limits and our own exhaustion and our own weariness, right? We are in the wilderness as well. And I always like to point out that even if you are not participating in Lent or like Rosh Hashanah or all of these major spiritual holidays through the year, as a collective human family, all having one, source soul that we come from, we are all subconsciously being affected by this time and space. And it is when we direct our consciousness and our intention to connecting with that time and space that we can really use the energy available to transform and reveal miracles. And so basically these feasts throughout the year and fasts, the holy holidays, they're not just commemorative historical celebrations or memorials. These are the reason why these historical events happen during these times was because the times itself are these open portals of God's energy and influence on earth. And they're timed, these certain times of year, where we have more access, more direct access to the divine, to God, without going through the intermediaries of the angelic realms to take our messages back and forth, So we have direct connection to this heightened sense of God's light and energy during these times, but it's also really intense. So we can't be under that influence all the time because it's like we'd be fried up. And after we're exposed to these times of like taking in this energy and the spiritual nourishment, there's also a period of integration where we sort of earn the light that we've just received by going through sort of challenges where we integrate that new wisdom and that new strength. So we are in Passover. And so collectively, there's this essence and aspect of your soul that feels like it's in the wilderness right now, and that you are being tempted, maybe tempted to do something because you've been lonely, or because you've been on trying to eat better and you're like wanting to fall off your diet. Maybe you're trying to overcome a drug addiction and you're like, why don't I just go back? Maybe you try to give up drinking, and it's really hard at first because you have to change so much about your life and you have to figure out how to socialize again. And it takes a while before you can be around certain people again. And so maybe there's a dream or a goal that you've been putting your blood, sweat, and tears into for so long, and you're feeling like you're worried that it's never going to take off, or that you've, misunderstood one of your purposes in life, right? Our ultimate purpose is to do the soul transformation. It's to awaken our soul and overcome our own darkness. And so even if you spend all your life doing what you think is your purpose, doing something anthropological or philanthropical for other people and helping other people, it still doesn't take the place of the work that you're supposed to do, the healing and the awakening that you're supposed to do in this lifetime. So they kind of they're side by side. A lot of us have a dream or a talent or a gift that feels like our life purpose, like a calling, but that goes, that doesn't stand alone as your calling. Your first calling is to do the work on your soul. And maybe you do that in parallel with that calling, right? So maybe you're like, oh, I don't see any progress, and maybe I've misunderstood, and maybe it's time to give up and try something else. And maybe you have no idea what to do because that's the only thing that you've ever felt led to do, right? So the devil is sitting here wanting to tempt you into giving up, making you think, oh, it's not making a difference. You're not making a difference. Nothing you do makes a difference. And this is the moment where you have to be fortified and focused, and you don't give yourself a choice. You just keep your eyes on the one next step that you have to take. Keep your eyes on God. Keep your eyes on the miracles that are in store ahead of you, but keep your eyes on the day that you're in, right? Don't look down, don't look back, don't look side to side, just stay focused, right? Certainty. We talk about the concept of certainty on this channel, and it's not knowing that you have a guaranteed answer. It's not knowing what's going to happen. It's not knowing that everything's going to work out just the way that you think it will, right? But certainty, what it is, it's stronger than faith. It's stronger than hope. It's the kind of thing where you say, you know what? I believe and I trust in God's goodness. And I know God has a plan, and God can deliver me from anything and actually use the devil's traps and tricks against the devil. Even if I fall, if I believe in God, God can pick me up from that situation and use it to exalt me in the end. And so we show up and we do the best we can, and we trust that come hell or high water, God will eventually align us with that destiny that we are meant to have. So I'm going to stop here. This is a good place to pause, let you guys listen to what I wrote for today. And then we'll go on with the reading. We also have a full moon total eclipse in Virgo tomorrow. And we have Mercury going retrograde on Friday. So this Virgo full moon in the midst of Pisces season is all about like plumbing our depths and doing the deep dive and purging ourselves of old emotional baggage, going in and really getting the depth of the wisdom and the insight and the understanding about what our life's experiences have taught us and brought us and grown us into. Virgo is about cleaning things up, getting them organized, having a healthy structure, a healthy approach. Virgo is, it's service oriented, right? So how has our own life experiences made us into a unique vessel for a particular kind of way that we are going to serve the world and serve others and use our gifts to help others? Because we don't even want to do the spiritual transformation just for our own sake, just for our own healing so that we can be happier in life. That's good. That is a good byproduct. But what we truly want to do that work for, and when we get to a certain point in our healing and our awakening, is that we realize that we're doing the work not just for ourselves, but for the sake of others. We don't want to make the world a worse place. We don't want to add any more negativity or any darkness into the world. We actually want to make the world a better place. And we want to be wise and strong and understand the balance of judgment and mercy and find the middle ground in between and make the world a better place than what we found it, and really start tipping the scales of the cosmos. The Rav Michael Berg and his wife Monica, they're the leaders of the Kabbalah Center, and all week they've been pointing out this one story. It's a parable about somebody pointing out that they're like, okay, imagine that the world, the scales of good and evil, like I always point to my scales back here if you guys can see them. Pretend they're always in perfect balance, and every action that you do is going to affect the scale, either for good or for bad. And so when we start taking our actions and ourself and our presence and our influence on the cosmos that seriously, which it is that serious, then we start to understand the depth and breadth and the importance of our personal transformation and how each of our choices and our actions do affect the greater whole and the greater good. So, listen to the audio, enjoy the picture. I used a picture from my vintage children's Bible story book. I used an illustration of Daniel in the lion's den. And if you want, you can go to the community tab page or the part on my channel where it shows the posts. And if you want to zoom in, you can see like the text on the pages. And I think it was really poignant for today too. So I'll let y'all listen to that, and then we'll be back and we'll talk about the cards. You may be feeling weary, like nothing is changing and your efforts aren't making a difference. So what's the point? You may be looking around at everyone else getting what you've always wanted, and it came so effortlessly to them. Do not give up now. This is the wilderness. This is the death of the old, but the resurrection is coming. This is the temptation of the opponent to cause you to throw away your destiny because you can't see it yet. Hold on tighter than belief, tighter than faith. Hold on with white, bloody, bare knuckles with all your might, choosing not to give yourself an option, but to focus solely on moving forward with certainty that God's plan is being revealed and will triumph over this bleak and dry landscape. Certainty is the choice to trust in God's goodness and mercy, even when we are trembling in fear and have nothing left to give. Even when you are dead and rotting and the tomb has been sealed. When it is time for you to come forth, that stone will be moved. Miracles will soon be revealed, but we can only see the light of a shooting star against the blackness of the night sky. Miracles reveal themselves in the darkest times, because it's in those times that we have the capacity to perceive them. Like the stars, God's miracles are always there, but we just can't always see them clearly. Hold on. You will be brought out of this wilderness, but for now, keep your eyes fixed on the heavens and don't look down. All right, we back. Okay, so our first card out was Nebula or Fog, followed by Raven's Head, followed by Winter. Underneath the nebula, we have Death. Underneath the Raven's Head, we have the Magician. And underneath Winter, we have Ace of Swords. So the nebula or fog, in one sense, my initial image I got was the nebula that stars are born in, right? Nebula in space are these giant gas clouds that were former stars that exploded and released all their minerals and gas. And then new galaxies, it's like called a nursery of baby stars. New stars and new galaxies start forming within these nebula. And so it takes a star breaking down and blowing up in order to form entire new galaxies from one star, right? It's beautiful. When you see these images from the Hubble telescope, they're breathtaking and majestic and all kinds of like neon colors, and they're just breathtaking. When you see pictures of deep space, it's just like, when I one of my favorite shows that was ever on, like on Discovery, was The Big Bang and The Cosmos, and it was Through the Wormhole. Those were like 3 space shows where you got really deep and nerdy into outer space and space things. And I just think there's no more like majestic way to strike the awe of God in your heart than to really try to conceptualize the vastness and infinitum of outer space. And when you see the billions of stars that are clustered together in some of those images, it's incredible, right? So in a way, we're in this moment where it's like death and resurrection season. And what was the old is died away. Our star has already been burst open, right? We have already experienced and gone through the death of the star of our former life. Remember, we jumped timelines in the fall towards the end of the year. So that was like our dying star. And if you're anything like me, you may have felt like you've been in a fog, because the main point of this card, when you read the text that Kim Kranz wrote about this fog, is that, we're this blanket of fog, and it can be really nice. It can be very comforting and safe, like a nursery at first when you're in a fog and everything's so quiet and still. Like, think about when you go out on a really foggy morning. There's nothing that is more serene and sort of ethereal and peaceful and quiet than a blanket of fog, and you can't see anything, and it's really something. Unless you're trying to drive through it, then it's terrifying. Or if you're walking through it, you can't see one foot in front of the other, right? But given too much time in that fog, it becomes a distressing feeling, and you feel trapped in, and you can fall into like a boredom or a malaise, right? And I feel kind of like that recently, like the whole of 2025, I'm just like, I feel, am I still on the right path? Like, have I lost my way? Like, am I going in the wrong direction? Like, you can't see your front from your back, and you can't see, you can't make out the directions around you, right? You don't know which way to go. And so what ends up either lifting the fog is the return of the sun, the light, the heat, passion and creativity and energy and vitality, or just time, right? But I feel that the light is returning, right? We are in spring. We just hit our spring equinox, I think is the quarter times of year, where we sprung forward. We're having our longer days now. The sun is returning, and we are being filled with new radiance. So resurrection season is upon us, and new things are being birthed. New stars are being formed within our life. A new direction is coming forward. We just can't see that starlight quite yet. And so it's only a matter of time. And I think things are really going to shift. And I think that tomorrow's eclipse season, like the beginning of the eclipse season, is really going to whip us into that direction. Eclipse seasons always bring change. And so if you've done the work to like overhaul your life, to take away like the things that were keeping you held back or keeping you in that old storyline, then I think huge changes are coming. Now, like we were saying before, the full moon and the eclipse within the context of Pisces season is really helping us to get rid of old emotional baggage, old spiritual baggage that is holding us back or keeping us bound by old limiting beliefs or old thoughts or old perceptions or old unexpressed pain that's still weighing us down. And with the connection to Mercury, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is about to go retrograde in Aries, and boy, am I feeling it. I've been pretty sassy and saucy this week. I raised a little controversy on Instagram today, and I never participate in the comments, never. I'm like, it's not worth the trouble, but something needed to be pointed out, and I pointed it out. And of course, there was the person, the antagonistic voice that always shows up inevitably, but she was very alone. Like within like 15 minutes, like 100 people liked my comment. They're like, say it louder, this needs to be said. So I'm just like, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that, but I kind of did. And I've been kind of like just saying things like through the last couple of days. I'm like, boy, am I already feeling this eclipse. But yeah, so Aries is loud, and Aries is Mars, and Aries can be direct. And so communication, Mercury. So you may find that you want to speak up or speak out about something that needs to be said. I would say be mindful and be conscious of what you're saying and how you're saying it. come from a place of love, but love can be tough and love can be direct and love isn't coddling. I think that right now people have been overly coddled and they don't understand the difference between kindness and niceness. And so that's, it's getting people confused, and I think people need a good dose of higher truth these days. So be loving and come from kindness, and don't confront when it's your ego that wants to feel satisfied. If it's hard for you to say something and you don't really want to say something, then that's probably an indication that you need to push yourself to say something. If it's all too easy for you to want to pop off and like sass somebody and get up in their face and run your mouth, then maybe take the foot off the brake, or take the foot off the gas and put them on the brakes. So be considerate about your communication, but if truth needs to be told, if communication needs to happen, then this might be, you might be prompted even like before you even know it. You might be saying things you didn't plan to say. So we're coming out of this fog. It is happening. It is happening. It is happening. So, and this eclipse is probably going to be the initiator for that. We have Raven's Head. This is the initiation into the work. The Raven's Head invites the alchemist into the lab and says, hey, there's work to be done. And in fact, I wanted to read the Raven's Head to you guys. I thought it was really interesting because it made references to other cards we've had this week from other decks. All right. Initiation, the ordeal, the work begins. Though alchemy is filled with a myriad of open-ended symbols, the Raven's Head has a precise message. It arrives to mark the beginning of the work. This card indicates something has occurred, known or unknown, to initiate the spinning of the alchemical wheel. Armpits are sweating, shaking in my boots. Aye. With its mighty churning things. With its mighty churning, things are about to change on every level. The raven's work cannot be undone, just as the pill cannot be unswallowed or the pearl turned back into sand. You may be overwhelmed or think that the journey ahead is not for you. Your doubts matter not to the raven. Your doubts matter not to the raven, as its appearance signifies it has chosen you. You are ready, and the moment is now. Can you go back to the way things were? Can you pretend nothing has changed? The raven calls a clear no. It does not apologize, as it knows your destiny is great. So we've already changed. We've already died. The corpse has been buried. We are now resurrecting into a new creature, a new being. And so the work has already started the initial process. And so the next stage of the work is beginning. So I feel like the first stage of the work has taken us through quiet and isolation. And now we are going to be coming out of the lab, and the next phase is going to bring us into out in the open doing the work, right? Where our work is going to be leading us into the way that we're moving and living and having our being. And I think we're not going to be so much like, it's not going to be as much of the hermit by ourselves anymore, but the work is going to start involving other people as well. Think about that. Pisces is in the south node, where Virgo is in the north node. And so Virgo has our spiritual understanding and depth that we have been that we have grown through Pisces influence, right? Pisces is the depths. It's the most spiritual sign. So it's not just about the work on ourself anymore, and it's not just for us. Now it's like, okay, now that you've become this person, How are you going to share with the world? How are you going to impact the world now that you've become what you needed to show up and to rise to the occasion? This has only been preparing you for your real mission, right? It's like training is over. Now the soldier is ready to go into battle. Or the nurse has finished her training and now it's time to go into the arena, right, to do her work. So it's just the work continues, but it's a different stage, it's a different expression of the level of work that you're doing. Whereas, we do the work as the student, and we prepare and we prepare and we prepare, and then we go out into the world to actually do the work that we've been learning to do. So that's where I think we're at in this moment. So let's see some side notes. The raven with its trickster spirit has many symbolic interpretations. It is also linked to the Hierophant card in the tarot, so be on the lookout for a new teacher or mentor. The Hierophant visited us Monday, in case you don't remember. The Hierophant can represent a teacher or a mentor. It can also represent the establishment. So in this way, you might be finding a new teacher or a new mentor or a new group of mentors and teachers. And then you also might yourself be a mentor and a teacher. And that might be what you're stepping into, bringing your gifts out into the world to share them with others. Now, paired with the raven's head, we've got the magician. So it is literally like the invitation of the alchemist to come into the lab and do the work. And here is the alchemist here. The magician, not in this deck, but is traditionally depicted at the altar with one hand up, pointing up, and one hand pointing down. And that is the magician channeling the divine power, the divine inspiration, and channeling that through into the material world. So we are receiving that divine inspiration, and it comes through in our actions. In front of the magician are all four elements are represented, meaning that the magician has everything that they need to accomplish their means, to accomplish their goals, right? The material aspects are there, the spiritual aspects are there, the belief is there, the thoughts are there, and the emotion, the feeling is there. So we have everything that we need to handle this next leg of the work. And now it's about putting our tools and our talents and the magician's skill into use and manifesting these changes and taking action and manifesting our goals and manifesting that calling and manifesting our purpose by integrating that interchange into our outer expression, the way that we're showing up in the world. We have the Winter card paired with Ace of Swords. The winter is that pause, right, that we've been in. And I think that the Ace of Swords is like a sudden strike of like clarity and inspiration and motivation and excitement and a new mindset and new ideas. The winter, I think we're about to be out of winter, and I think that we're going to be out of this time of complete void and quiet and darkness. We've been letting things integrate. We've been in that stillness. We've been in that time where we let the land lie fallow, but the land lies fallow so that it can produce a better crop the next year, so that the soil has rested and been able to rejuvenate itself. So resurrection season is upon us. The dark womb of winter has been doing its work on us. And so don't rush through these next couple of weeks, the last of Pisces season. We still have to do that inner work, to do that inner soul searching. And as things become aware of you and you have these eureka moments and these insights and those, oh my gosh, see, this character has the key. They finally figured it out. Oh, I see how it's all been connected. I understand now. I understand what my experiences have been teaching me and how I can use that to help others. So this winter period, although it has served a vital purpose, the season is coming to a completion for you, and spring is imminent. And so don't rush through the rest of the winter. let the healing be completed. Don't force it and don't bypass it, right? So many times we want to bypass the pain. We want to just get to the other side. We want to get to spring. But the pain is where the real magic happens, because that pain breaks our heart open and makes us tender, and it makes us teachable, right? It gets our soul right up to the surface, and we have that. We feel the presence of God more clearly during those times. So pain has a vital, valuable role that it can play. We don't need to be in pain forever, but it does serve its purpose. And unto all things there is a season. So seasons change, and we're not in one season forever. It's never meant to stay that way. So we're feeling the stagnancy of having been in winter for a while. But there's life on the other side of it. New life, new resurrection coming. And just like Jesus told Lazarus, come forth, right? When he resurrected Lazarus, I'm feeling I'm hearing the call, and these death cloths are getting pretty tight. So I'm ready for that stone to be moved so we can walk out of the tomb all together and start doing the real work that we've been called to. Y'all, I think that's all we need to say tonight. I think I really like reading the writing, because I feel like it takes the pressure off of trying to remember all the things that I wanted to say. It's like, okay, I know I covered that. Now I can just relax and let the rest of the message come through. Tomorrow I'm going to lunch with my mother, and then I'm going to dinner with my sister later. But in between those two things, I'm going to do my very best to film our full moon workshop. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to do my very best. I hope I don't disappoint. And we'll see how the day goes. I'll try to get home and be able to fit that in between those two very important appointments with my fam. Until then, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and hope that you have a wonderful rest of your night or whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace be with you.